Kids are at the heart of everything we do in our classrooms. So we want to make sure that we are keeping their learning engaging and fun so that they can really see lots of progress and they can grow that love of learning that we all hope that they achieve. So today we're going to use one of kids' favorite toys, and we're going to go ahead and teach them important math and STEM skills. STEM stands for science, technology, engineering, and math. Now, I want to make a couple promises to you. First, my goal is to make things as simple as possible for you. So I promise that you probably already have this toy in your classroom. And if you don't, you can reach out to families and they'll be able to send the toy in for you to use. So that's my number one promise. I also promise that all these activities are going to be really simple to prep because I don't want to add a lot to your to-do list. I know you're already busy. And then third, I want to make sure that you know that all of these activities can easily be stretched for kids at different readiness levels. So if you are a pre-K teacher, you can do the activity, but if you're a first or second grade teacher, I'm going to be showing you some simple ways that you can stretch the same exact activity to meet the needs of your kids as well. So let's go ahead and get started. Now you may be wondering what this toy is, and I'm going to give you a little clue. If you've ever wandered through your house in the dark and you happen to have kids, you've probably stepped on this toy and screamed out in pain because it is excruciating. We're going to be using Legos. So the Legos I'm going to show you today for our examples are actually Duplos. Now I happen to have a huge collection because I have 3 kids and they love building with Legos all the time. We got these as hand-me-downs. I know a couple people have also found them at garage sales. You can also look on Amazon and just type in Duplo compatible bricks and you can find some better deals than if you actually went with the name brand Legos, so that's another option for you. But Duplos are awesome because they are big enough that you don't have to worry about choking hazards, and they're great for kids building their fine motor skills as they manipulate them. So these are our Duplos. And we're going to go ahead and start with a math activity called Number War. Now, as I promised you, I'm going to start with the simplest skill, and I'm going to be building up and stretching it. So make sure to stay tuned so you can see how I continue adding on. Now to play, each child is going to need a set of 6 Legos, and I have just used, given them the same color just so that you can see the example really easily, but they don't have to be the same color. They don't have to match. You also, by the way, can use number or Unifix cubes if you don't have enough of these Duplos to give each child. So they need 6, and then they also need a playing die. Now to play Number War, it's really simple. They're going to roll their die, and then whatever number they roll is the number of bricks that they're going to add to their tower. So let's pretend that our student rolled a 5. They're going to go ahead and take their tower, and they're going to build a stack of 5. Now we want to stretch the kids' learning, of course, so I'm going to have each child take their stack and compare it to a neighbor. So if Susie has a stack of 5 and she's sitting next to Charles and Charles has a stack of 4, they can put those stacks side by side and they can easily see which one has more. So you can see here that Susie's stack of 5 is taller, so she has more. But we want to keep stretching. So I'm going to say to them, now I want you to tell me how many more they have. So when they hold the towers up like this, they can see, it's going to be kind of hard to hold this, let's see if I can get it. They can easily see that there's one more brick poking out just above that stack of 4. So they can see that now we have one more. So 5 is one more than our 4. We want to keep stretching it. So I'm going to go ahead and say, how many less do you have? So to this child, I'll say, how many less does Charles have? So he now sees that he has one less. We're using vocabulary, more and less, and he has one less because he's missing that block right there. We're going to keep going. I want you to go ahead and take these 2 towers and let's stick them together. Now, how many do you have all together? This is beginning addition. So we're going to have the kids take their tower and go ahead and count it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then if we're working with pre-K or kindergarten teachers or pre-K or kindergarten students, we want them to start using the language that we need them to have for beginning addition. So we're going to say 5 and 4 more is 9 altogether. Or we might say 5 and 4 equals 9. So again, we're giving them the vocabulary. Now, we also can stretch this by having them use their bricks and try and create a pattern. So since they have some yellow and some green bricks, they might make a yellow-green pattern. Or they might make a yellow-yellow-green, yellow-yellow-green. So that's another challenge you can give them. For first grade students, you can go ahead and skip most of that and just have them roll just like before. So they each roll their tower, but now we're going to have them jump right into addition. So we have them stick their blocks together and we're going to have them use the word sum. So we would say, what is the sum of those two numbers? So 5 plus 4 equals 9 altogether. We also can have them work on subtraction. Now this one is a little bit trickier, but if you have a stack of 5 and you have a stack of 4, we want the kids to line up the bottoms, just like this, and then we want them to take away the parts that match. So 5 minus 4 equals 1. So that's another thing that you can do. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to something called number decomposition. Now, when I was in elementary ed, I didn't hear this term very often. I actually learned it from one of my mentor teachers who had studied Marilyn Burns' amazing work with teaching kids math skills. And Marilyn Burns is all about hands-on learning, which I just love because, of course, again, we want kids to make lots of growth, and so we want to be effective, but we also want to be really fun. So for number decomposition, what you do is you pick a number for kids to work on. So in this example, I'm going to have them work on the number 5. So each child, since we're working on the number 5, needs to have a stack of 5 cubes. And again, these could be Legos or Unifix cubes, depending on what you have in your classroom. We're going to have a stack of 5 red cubes, but we also need them to have a second stack of a different color. Same number, but different colors. So 5 red cubes and 5 green cubes. Now, what we want to teach kids is different ways to make the same number. So since we're working on the number 5, we want them to start learning different ways that they can make the number 5. So, of course, one way is to build a stack of 5 reds. So 5 reds plus 0 greens equals 5 altogether. But now we're going to have them tweak this. We want them to take one of the reds off, and we want them to grab one of their green bricks, just like this. Now this is a new way to make 5. 4 reds plus 1 green equals 5 altogether. Now we're going to do a little bit more. We're going to take off one of our reds, grab another green. 3 reds plus 2 greens equals 5 altogether. And you can keep going until you end up with 0 reds plus 5 greens equals 5 altogether. So you've worked through the whole stack together and seen lots and lots of different ways to decompose or break apart just one number in lots of different ways. Now the next activity is beginning addition. Now we talked about this a little bit with our example with the number war game, but I'm going to go ahead and show you a resource that we have for free on our Play-Doh to Play-Doh blog in case this is helpful for you. These are some beginning addition cards. You can just grab them straight from our blog. I've included the link in the post here so you can click through to it pretty easily. And it shows a certain color, a certain number and color of bricks plus another set of colors, and then the kids have to find the sum in order to figure out what the answer is. So in our example there, we had, of course, 4 yellows plus 2 greens equals 6 altogether. When we're teaching addition, and in fact when we're teaching any math skill, we always want to go from the concrete to the abstract, which basically means we want kids to understand how they would use the math before they start just looking at numbers and symbols and start solving math problems. So even in this example where I have a pattern card or I have a card here and I am showing a picture, this is pretty concrete, right? 4 yellows plus 2 greens equals 6 altogether. That's pretty concrete, but we can make it even more concrete by telling a story. So we could say, Susie has 4 yellows and Charles gives her 2 greens. How many bricks do they have all together? So we took it one step more to make it a little bit more concrete. And then for our first grade kids, when they're ready for even more of a stretch, instead of having these pictures here, you can just have them, give them the number 2, or sorry, I guess with this example, we'll give them the number 4. So 4 plus 2 equals, and then they have to find the answer. So we made it even more abstract in that case because kids were ready to move to a greater challenge. Again, these are available for free on the Play-Doh to Play-Doh website. Now, let's go ahead and move on to patterns. Now, before you say, Malia, I know all of the patterns under the sun, I know A-B patterns, I know ABC patterns, I'm going to show you some simple ways that we can actually stretch patterns for 2nd and even 3rd grade students, and hopefully this will kind of blow your mind a little bit because I'm excited about it. Now, to start, these are pattern cards that we have available for free on our Play-Doh to Play-Doh website again. They show just different kinds of patterns. Now, this is an A-B pattern. We have blue, red, but there are also other patterns like AABB and ABC. So we have lots of different patterns on these cards. You can grab these for free. So colors are usually the most popular pattern that come to mind, especially when we're building with Legos, simply because they are colorful, right? It just goes with the territory. It's what pops into our mind the fastest. But I'm going to challenge us to stretch our thinking a little bit. So what if we used our Legos to practice number patterns? So here's my number pattern here. Here, I'll turn it this way, see if I can get the camera angle right for you. So if we were practicing numbers with this, we could say 1, 3, 5, and then what tower do we need right next to this? So 1, 3, 5, 7 would be the next one, and then 9. So we could give kids a pattern like this and have them add on to it to see what comes next. Now, another thing we can do is use size. So for this example, this would be something that we could do even in kindergarten. We could talk about tall and short. So we have tall, short, tall, short, tall would be next. So we're using size words to build patterns. Now, here is one. This is that one that I promised you that can be stretched up to 2nd and 3rd grade kiddos. So this is actually a direction pattern. So here I have its direction and size. So small, and then it. Let me think of how to explain this. So actually, let's start at the top. That might be a little bit easier. Okay, so we have long. Can you kind of see this right here? Long, small. Now our long is turned 90 degrees here. Small, long with a turn, small, long. Does that make sense? Hopefully it makes sense. It's kind of tricky and abstract, but again, our whole goal is to be really fun and effective, and challenging kids to solve this and add on to it would be an awesome challenge for those kids who love tackling tricky math problems. So again, you can start with those free pattern cards I told you about, and then you can stretch it for kids who are ready. Our next activity is one of my favorites. This is actually something that you may have seen on our blog or floating around Pinterest. We can use simple pictures to have kids build designs. So this is a picture of a famous landmark, the Pyramids of Giza. And then when they build it with their Legos, this is what they get. Now, I've had a lot of people ask me, why don't you actually have challenge cards that show the final design right here? So it would be a picture that looks kind of like this with the picture on top of the real thing and then a picture of the design down below with the Legos. And the reason is because I want to stretch kids' learning. And if I give them the answer, it's not engaging as much of their brain as it is when they see an abstract picture or a picture like this, and then they have to come up with a way to actually build it with their Legos. So that's always my goal, is making sure that kids are being stretched as much as possible. And my kids and other students that we've checked in with just adore those cards because they're really fun and it's a really awesome challenge. So that is part of our famous landmark cards. You can actually grab those cards from our Teachers Pay Teachers store, or you can print off your own pictures if you are the DIY kind of teacher and you like to do that. Go ahead and just print off your own cards and challenge kids to build them. And then since we have St. Patrick's Day coming up, I wanted to make sure to show this to you as well. Now these cards this is a set of cards that have Irish objects. Now, obviously, some of this is kind of fanciful. Pots of gold, you may not be able to find those in Ireland, but it's a little bit leprechaun themed and a little bit Irish. So for this one, the kids look at the object and then they build it out of Legos. So same sort of concept as the famous landmarks, except this time we're adding in a fun theme just to keep kids motivated and engaged. So these cards are actually part of the St. Patrick's Day STEM pack that just came out this week. So if you want these, you are welcome to grab those in our Teachers Pay Teachers store. And if you are the type that likes to just gather resources on your own and make them, go ahead and just print off some pictures of Irish objects. One of the other things that's included in our STEM pack is we have leprechaun bow ties, we have the Irish flag, lots of different things that you can challenge kids to build. So those are our 6 activities. We talked about the number war, number decomposition, we did beginning addition, patterns, famous landmarks, and finally we did St. Patrick's Day activities or objects, but you could also just make it more evergreen by saying holiday activities. So you could do hearts for Valentine's Day, for example. So those are our 6 activities. We are using Legos because it is fun and we are all about fun, right? Now, this is something that we're going to go ahead and start doing every week on our Facebook page. We want to be able to check in with you guys and share some really timely and helpful tips and resources. So I'm going to be tuning in every Wednesday on the Play-Doh to Play-Doh Facebook page at 2 p.m. Pacific. So make sure to pop back next week because I'm going to be sharing some really awesome, motivating things that we can do with plastic Easter eggs. Now, Easter is actually on April 1st this year, so it's sneaking up really quickly. And I wanted to make sure to get these ideas in your hands so that you can prep them and get them ready if there are things that are good fits for you. So that is next week. We're going to be sharing plastic Easter egg ideas that you can use in your classroom. So I hope to see you next week, Wednesday, 2 p.m. Pacific. And for now, I am Malia from Play-Doh to Play-Doh. Thank you so much for joining me. I loved getting to hang out with all of you guys, and I hope to see you next week. Stay inspired.